We're back here at the Minnesota Farm Bureau Federation convention at the Twin Cities. I am here with the newly re-elected president of the Minnesota Farm Bureau, Kevin Paap. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. It's exciting. Our 99th annual meeting.
So tell us a little bit about what's been going on today, getting things going here. What kind of things have you guys been talking about, things that have been coming up here during the convention?
Well, the first part of our annual meeting is always the policy part, the policy development. We take those resolutions that our 78 county or regional farm bureaus brought forth after their county annual meetings, add to the delegates report, and our delegates from all of those counties and regions spent the day today working on that.
So what kind of resolutions, what kind of things are we seeing the concerns that are coming to the state convention this year?
Well, a lot of it is very similar to what we see every year. We got to deal with taxes, as it deals with property tax, as well as education, the school bonding. We talked more about that. Talked about the buffers and how can we make that buffer bill more workable for some people in agriculture. What are some alternative practices, other water quality, water quantity issues, and then just talking about how do we connect with those that aren't involved in agriculture.
And that's a big thing. I know we talked earlier with some people that went out today and did some ag in the classroom here in the Twin Cities, and it's part of that outreach that there are kids out here who are either several generations removed from the farm or no generations, never even touched a farm, and they don't have that full story of what actually happens at these farms.
Statewide, 58% of Minnesotans cannot identify a farmer or a rancher or anybody involved in agriculture that they personally know. In the Minneapolis-St. Paul here, it's 78%. So that's something we're going to continue to work on.
And you're seeing a lot of positive feedback from these programs that are being done where people are going to talk, whether it's to schools or to community groups, where they're helping spread that word of agriculture and maybe changing a few minds or correcting some perceptions about agriculture?
What we're doing and making sure you go out there and you first listen to hear what their concerns are, ask some of those clarifying questions, talk about things, and then you can share some experiences, share the fact that you have the same values. And that's really what works as you build those relationships. But that's not a one-time deal. You have to continue to have that conversation.
And that's one thing I know we've talked several times before, Kevin, and you've always brought up the fact that education and working together across agriculture, no matter what your commodity group, no matter what, we all have got to work together to spread that message out there, because we're going to fall apart if we don't work together.
We do. Working together works. We know that. We think about education sometimes. I'd rather think about engaging. Education sounds just one way. This needs to be a two-way conversation, whether it's with consumers, whether it's with elected officials. We have to have a two-way conversation to talk about how we can understand each other better.
Now, I know as we're sitting here talking and we talk about resolutions and talk about concerns that everybody's kind of watching, a lot of it's wait and see right now, especially pertaining to what's going on in the government. We just had the Congress, the House Representatives pass their tax bill yesterday, still has a ways to go, and we're also looking at Farm Bill where there's a lot of questions of, is it going to get done? I know Congressman Peterson was optimistic. There was maybe a 50% chance it could be worked out before the end of the calendar year. We're not sure, but there's a lot of questions here going into this next this downtime before spring field work starts again.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of uncertainty, financial uncertainty, and that brings those conversations about the farm bill, safety net, crop insurance. We have to have a risk management tool that can protect us from things out of our control. But we also have to have prices, and the best way to increase prices to increase demand. And a lot of real concern here at the annual meeting about getting out of NAFTA, not getting those trade agreements. Trade 1/3 of our product on average leaves the United States. We need those markets. That's our safety net.
Yeah, and that's definitely something I know we talked last week at the NAFB convention. Sonny Perdue came in and talked with us, and that was a lot of the concerns that were raised from all corners of the United States was trade. And a lot of concerns about what's going to happen with NAFTA. What are we doing to get into these Asian markets without TPP? What kind of things are being done? And those are the hard-hitting questions across the board right now.
They're hard-hitting questions, but they're very simple facts. Number one, we grow more than we can use. That's the bottom line. Number two, 95% of the people in the world don't live in the United States. So if we're growing more than we need and want to tap outside markets, it has to be that 95% of the world that isn't the United States. We not only have to enforce the trade agreements we have, we've got to look towards new trade agreements as well.
So as we get ready to continue on with the convention here this week, Kevin, what kind of things are still coming up here this weekend in the Twin Cities?
Still a lot of celebrating. We've got the Young Farmer and Rancher activities, the discussion meet, Excellence in Agriculture, all those will be there. Informational sessions where we'll have a chance to learn about what's going on in DC with Mary Kate Thatcher, as well as just do some celebrating about making membership. This is our 7th year in a row where we've had increased membership in Farm Bureau.
All right. Well, Kevin, I thank you very much for taking the time to visit with us, and congratulations on being reelected president once again.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. It's a great organization, and we'd love for everybody to join.
All right. That's President Kevin Paap of the Minnesota Farm Bureau Federation here on the Farm Show.